April is not going to be here today. She had something come up last minute. And so that's why it says that I'm April Weir. When you all know I'm Tricia, I can't do this right there. Because I had to log in as the host. But I think you all know me, Tricia Clements. I think I know most everyone here. A couple of you, I'm not sure. I think I've been to another Zoom with you, Tom, but I'm not too sure. I don't remember. So, okay, yes. Okay, good. So I am, now that part of it is out of the way, I'm going to also go ahead and just check Facebook, because I know that April always does that to make sure that no one is there trying to get in. I posted the link on the on there. So yeah, I don't think so. Okay, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because I have a lot of stuff to go over today. And how I'm going to do it is I am going to give you a short intro, and then I'm going to share my video with you all that I did because it's easier. I wanted to do it live, but I'm glad I didn't because I stopped so many times, and it was, yeah, that it would have been like a 2-hour Zoom call. So now that that's over, just so you all know, I did record it. And but let's see. Okay, I want to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so not sure. Okay, yeah, that's where. And I want to share these. And no, that's not what I want to share. See? Okay, let me find my images. This is what I want to share. All right. I also, while I'm here, before the video starts, I need to edit some of the sharing options so that you all can actually hear the video. And I need to do that now, share sound, because if I don't, I'll forget, and then you all won't be able to hear the video. Okay. So hopefully everyone can, if you will, at some point, I'll pull up the chat again, and you all can let me know if you can make sure that you can hear me and everything. All right. So we're talking about installing Google Analytics on your WordPress website. This is the Remote Control Living meetup for Atlanta SEO for local businesses. And again, I'm Tricia Clements with yourbizwatchdog.com. And the reason that I want to really talk about Google Analytics is because it is something that I have had recently. You all know that I do Google My Business, and a lot of the reporting that I do is through Google Analytics. And I've come across numerous times different new websites where they didn't have any Google Analytics on them. And it's really important because when you put Google Analytics on your website, it does not get any past data. So the data is only there from the date that you actually install it. So it's really important to actually just go ahead and install it as soon as you can, as soon as that website is live. Even though my video is a little bit longer, it takes less than 15 minutes to get it installed. And it's in your best interest as the website developer, designer, or whatever title it is that you have, because you want to make sure that you're showing your clients value, that you have actually the website you've designed, that they're getting traffic from it. And the way to do that is through Google Analytics. So what you'll need to do before you start is your access to the WordPress website and as an admin. And the reason is that we're using a plugin. You don't have to use a plugin, but I like to use a plugin for this specific instance. You'll also need your email address that's either Gmail or Google Workspace because we're using Google products. Access to the DNS records, and then a client's email address, either Gmail or Google Workspace, so that you can add them as an admin, because that's really, really important to make sure that you get them added as an admin. So these are the things we're going to talk today about. First one is Google Search Console. So while it doesn't necessarily isn't necessarily a part of Google Analytics. It's really important because it allows Google to help you monitor, maintain, and also troubleshoot your website. So that's why I think that when you're setting up Google Analytics, you need to just go ahead and set up Google Search Console. And then, of course, Google Analytics, that's the part that helps you track and create reports for your website traffic. And then we're going to do, the first part is I'm going to show you Universal Analytics and GA4. And then there's a second part in the video where I'm showing some people already have Universal and they're only adding GA4. So then I have a short thing because that's a little bit easier, but there's something in there that you need to see and be aware of for that. The other thing is Google Tag Manager. So I use Google Tag Manager because it lets you add different tags to your website for tracking analytics and everything. So with Google Tag Manager, we're going to be adding Google Analytics, but you can also use it to add Facebook Pixel, any other type of tracking pixel or anything like that. It's good to have it there in one place. So let's say you do a website redesign, you want to have all those tags in one place. So you don't have to then go back and figure out, oh, I added all these pixels. Now I have to figure out where to put them on my new site. You just put them in Tag Manager and you're good. The other is Google Site Kit. That is a WordPress plugin. And I like to use that. You can also add code directly to your website, but I do like to go ahead and just use Google Site Kit because it's a good way to, when you log into your WordPress dashboard, there are lots of quick and easy, just little reports and everything there for you. All right, so I am going to now start the video. So this is basically just starting off, and I am first when it's on here, I'm going to double check the chat. I want to make sure you all can hear the video. That's why I did the share a few moments ago. So make sure you let me know that you can hear it in the chat when it starts. Here we go.
We're going to be installing Google Analytics on this website for dunwoodynewcomers.com. First thing I want to do is do Google Search Console. It's search.google.com/search-console. And I'm going to put links for you all here in the meetup. The reason I want to start with that is because you do have to verify your DNS. And in order to do that, sometimes it takes a little while for that verification, sometimes 5 to 15 minutes. Recently, I have seen it happen really quickly, but that way, while it's verifying, I'm doing the rest of the install. The first thing for domain, you're going to have this for Google Search Console, you have two options. By domain or URL prefix is how you're going to verify it. And I like to do domain because it's the better choice. If you're doing URL prefix, they've got different ways for you to do it. And if you're doing domain, you're doing basically the domain, including all subdomains, all the HTTP, HTTPS. Basically, you're making sure you get everything. Whereas if you're doing the URL prefix, you may not. That's why I like to use Google Search Console and do the domain. That's how I want to verify it. So you're going to have the DNS. So before you get here, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and make sure you have access to the DNS record to update those. You probably already have that because you've done the website or something, but just in case, and you need to know how to look that up, I like to use whois.domaintools.com. You basically just put in the URL, search it, and it comes up. It'll tell you the registrar and then the name servers. This will pretty much tell you where your DNS records are. So I know domaincontrol.com. I know that means GoDaddy simply because I've seen quite a few of them. So I also have, let's see, so this means that their DNS records are being held and controlled by GoDaddy. Let's look at another one that isn't. So Your Biz Watchdog, this is my site. And I have my registrar as name silo, but my name servers, you can see, are Cloudflare. We talked about that in a meetup recently, Cloudflare, and how good it is to go ahead and have your DNS records there at Cloudflare. So you can see that's where mine are. So if I were going to update something on your Biz Watchdog, I would have to go to my Cloudflare account to do that. On this one, we're going to, because it's domain control, I know that's GoDaddy. And so I know I'm going to have to go to get access to my DNS records in GoDaddy. GoDaddy does have something that allows you to basically give access to just the domain, or access to a domain, so that you don't have the full account access like the registrant. So that's one thing that you can do with GoDaddy. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to, and again, we're going to do this one, the domain. Make sure you're logged in. Sorry, we're at Google Search Console here. Make sure you're logged in to the correct Google account. And then under the domain, you're going to enter your website, just the domain. And I'm going to actually go ahead and do this all lowercase. I'm not sure if that's important, but I'm going to do that. Nothing in front of it. None of the HTTPS, none of the www, just the base domain. All right, so one of the things is it tells me that it can go ahead and verify it with GoDaddy because it picked up that it was GoDaddy. A lot of times this is something new that Google Search Console is doing. It has a list of them here, and it can kind of pick up what you're doing. Pretty much, I think what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and verify it automatically, but I want to go ahead and show you if it's not something where you can just automatically verify it like that. What I want to do is show you how to add your text records to the DNS. So if you've got one of these listed, you can probably go ahead and verify it this way. But let's add the DNS records just to show you. It says to sign into your domain provider. You're actually signing into wherever your DNS records are being held, because that's not necessarily where you bought your domain because of Cloudflare, other things, SiteGround as well. And it says copy the TXT record into the DNS configuration for the URL. So again, this is a TXT record. So I clicked on copy. I'm going to go into here for my records. And I'm going to add a TXT. Usually you can, for the host, you can either put @ or the domain here. You can see where we're at. Some of the DNS will allow you to just leave that blank and not input anything. So I'm going to save this. And you can see here it is right here. And now I'm going to go back into my Google Search Console into another tab after I've added that to my GoDaddy DNS records.
Here's a result from the web.
Okay, sorry, that's my phone trying to listen to me. And it says ownership verified. So that was really quick. It used to be, it would take a little while. So this is good. It's verified and you're good. And now you're here in your Google Search Console account. The next thing that you're going to want to do is to add a user. You always, when you're setting these up for your clients, you always want to make sure that even though you're setting it up for access for you, that you want to set it up so your client has access. Okay, I don't want to, this is because this is the first account I have in here. So again, you're going to click on settings in the bottom here, users and permissions. And then you are going to add a user. And I'm just going to add me. what I'll do is I'll also I'll add the business owner, but this is what you want to do. You want to make sure that you're adding the business owner. So as and give them full permission. So as the business owner, they actually have access to their Google Search Console, and add that. And so you can see here that they've been added. And that's pretty much what you need to do to get Google Search Console installed. The next step is to go ahead and start with analytics by going to analytics.google.com. Now, there's a couple different ways this is going to come up. If you don't have any analytics accounts in your email account that you're logged into, you're going to see this page that says start measuring, and then you're just going to start with your account setup from here. You may already have an analytics account, so which I do in this one. So you're going to see it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to come up with whatever account you're logged into. I have a test one that I was playing with. Right here, you'll see at the top, you've got analytics, the top left. This is where when you start adding the different accounts that you're going to see the information here. Okay. So you want to, in order to get to that page that we were just at, you're going to go here to admin at the bottom left, and you're going to come up with account, and it's going to say create account. So that's basically the same thing as where you started out. If you were in an account that does not have any. If you'll look here, it says account setup, account name. So if we click here, create, so we're back here, you've got where you already have an account there, which you probably already do, but just in case you don't, this is the way they just look a little bit different. So in order to get here, again, you go to log into analytics, go to admin, this is going to come up. Click create account, and you can see this looks the exact same as where if you have no accounts here. So that's how you get here. So you're going to name the account. Select the time zone. This is the part you need to make sure that you do. If you don't have Google Universal Analytics already set up, you need to show the advanced settings and turn this on, and also create your analytics property. Make sure I have that right. Then newcomers.com. Whoops. Okay. And you do want to create both a GA4 and a Universal Analytics property if you don't already have that Universal. And then you're just going to select your category and things that you want to measure. These are just, I would just select whatever you think you might want to measure and then create. Maybe I didn't read through here. Accept. Now that took it. Maybe they wanted me to read all the way through it. One thing that can get a little bit tricky is if you have Universal Analytics set up and you're simply adding GA4. So I've got a site here, old site that I have Universal set up on, and I don't have GA4. So what I'm going to do is just go to the admin, and you can see I'm here in the Universal, and then you see under here it says GA4 setup. You're going to want to create a GA4 property. I am going to not have it collect data with existing tags. I think that sometimes can mess up GA4. So I just want to go ahead and create my GA4 property. And Again, you're here for your GA4. You're going to click data streams and then click on it. And this is your measurement ID that you're going to put into your Google Tag Manager, just like we did before. This is the GA4. So it's really, if you're already have your universal and you're simply adding your GA4, it's actually pretty easy by doing this. It used to not be as straightforward, but it's gotten a bit better. So the next thing you're going to do is go to Google Tag Manager and put your measurement ID in. What I like to do is just go ahead and copy the measurement ID. And I like to just kind of use Notepad for that. But then I also want to go back and get, this is the GA4, and I'll show you how you can tell that. So again, at the top, your Google Analytics on the left, and then this is where your accounts are. Remember, I had my test one in there. So if you've got the website you're working with, you're going to have two. The second one down is GA4, and the first one is UA. And you can see this number here. That is for GA4. So what I'm going to do now is get the Universal Analytics. So I'm in Universal, and I'm going to click on Admin, and then I want to get the tracking info and the tracking code. So here what I'm just going to do is basically just copy the tracking code. And you can tell that, so the tracking code for Universal starts with the UA. You're probably familiar with that from other websites. So now we've got the GA4 code, and so here we've got the website. You can click here. So if you didn't copy that the first time, what you can just do is go into, it's called data streams for GA4. Again, when we were in Universal, it was called tracking info. So Google likes to confuse us. So it is now called in GA4 tracking streams, or data streams, excuse me. And this is where you go and you can get that measurement ID. So now that we've gotten the Google account, Analytics account set up, now we want to go ahead and get our Google Tag Manager account set up. tagmanager.google.com. And make sure you're in the correct account. And you want to go ahead and just create an account. Create and accept. Okay, this is the part where for Google Tag Manager, you can use this and basically copy the code and put it into your website. Paste this into the head of the page, and then immediately after the body tag, put this in. So these are the codes. What I'm going to do is show you a plugin that we're going to use. And but if you prefer to do it this way, to install Google Tag Manager on your site, you can install it this way. The codes are right here for you. The reason I like Google Tag Manager instead of just installing Analytics separately, other things, is the fact that you can add their tags. And when we set these tags up, you can see there are lots of different options. And so every time you add something, for example, Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, any of those tracking things, you don't need to go in and change your website and figure out where to put the code. You just go in and put it into Google Tag Manager. So it kind of keeps it all in one nice, neat little place. And if you need to add something, you can just go and add it here and not have to go to your website. So we are logged in. I created the account. We're logged in, and what we're going to do is click on tags and create a new tag. So you can see here, basically it says choose your tag type. And you can see all the different things, all kinds of stuff that are in here. So of course, the first ones are going to be analytics. So we'll go ahead and just do universal analytics first. So I want to do it by page view. And I'm going to, so this is, let me go back and show you what I did. So I have Google Universal Analytics. The tracking type I'm going to do is page view. And we want to do a new variable. And this is where we're putting our tracking code in. So tracking ID. So let's get that. This is, again, we're doing Universal Analytics. You have to be careful about which one you're telling Google you're doing. Okay. And then save. Google, I want to put universal. Okay, then we have to, after we do that, we have to do our triggering. What's going to trigger it? And we want to do, I want to do all pages. We want everything to trigger on all pages, and then save. So now we have one Google Analytics for universal trigger is on all pages. So now I want to go ahead and do another tag for GA4. So again, I just went in here, I'm on tag still. We see the universal, new tag configuration GA4. And for the measurement ID, this is again GA4. That was the one that started with the G. And then the triggering again is going to be on all pages. And save. Google Analytics GA4 configuration. Save. And then we have this here, the GA4 and the Google Universal. We're still not done yet. Once you've got these in here, you do have to submit it. Basically, that kind of takes them live. Now they're sort of in like a draft form. So let's submit. You don't need to do this. I just put it in here that this is what we're doing. And publish. If you don't publish, again, it's not going to pick anything up. So I've got our Google Universal Analytics. That's set up. Now that we have Google Tag Manager set up, I want to go ahead and install that now on the website. And I'm going to use Google Sitekit plugin for that. Again, I like using Google Sitekit plugin. If you want to install simply the code, the way you'll find that it popped up on the screen earlier, but if you missed it, you can simply go here. This is the Google Tag Manager code for this. And then here is the code for that specific Tag Manager account. You can see the GTM code there. Okay. So, but instead, I want to go ahead and use Google Sitekit. So I'm going to go to the website, log in, and go to plugins. And I'm going to add a new plugin. And I'm going to do, and it's Google Sitekit, and Sitekit is 2 words. And here it is, Sitekit by Google. And then I'm going to activate the plugin once it's installed. And then you can just hit Start Setup here. This is basically going to connect it to your Google Search Console. And sign in with the account. And then you're going to say Allow. Go to Dashboard. So what that did was that connected Google Search Console. Now we want to go ahead and install some more. So what I'm going to do is over here you can see Sitekit. I'm just going to go to Settings. And you can see Google Search Console is connected. If you didn't do that step, that won't be here. And you can just say Connect More Services and you'll see it here as an option. Let's go ahead next and do Google Tag Manager. Okay, so I'm going to continue. So basically it's pulling in from, because I'm signed into that Tag Manager account, it's pulling these in. If you have anything else here, it may have options for you. So just make sure you're using the correct account. Continue. Google needs a lot of access to get your analytics. Okay. Here you've got your universal. And then next you want to do your GA4. Okay. So now it says analytics is connected. Before we go to anything else, I want to go back to the settings. So you want to go here. Let's see what it says. Just look at, okay. Let Sitekit place the code on your site. Okay, so that looks good. What I want to do is go into analytics and click edit. And then turn this off, because if I don't turn this off, this again, I'm in analytics. It's going to place the GA4 code on twice because Tag Manager is already putting GA4 on. Okay, so let me just make sure we have that. So you've got connected in Sitekit. You've got three things now: the Search Console, Analytics, which automatically connected when I did Tag Manager, and then Tag Manager. So Tag Manager is got both of those codes that we set up. Analytics, we want to make sure that we go in and edit and turn off where it says to place Google Analytics 4 code on, because we don't want it to do that because it's already collecting it in Tag Manager. Okay. The reason I really like doing Sitekit is because you can look at the dashboard here. And it's going to, just by logging into your website, you can look at Google Sitekit and look in the dashboard, and you're going to get some graphs. It doesn't show it here because we just installed it and it's going to take some time. But you're going to get traffic at a glance, things like this, acquisition, stuff that makes it easy just by kind of coming in and looking at it. And you can even change your date, time range as well. Now that we have the website with Google Sitekit, with Google Tag Manager and everything, let's go to the analytics, back to Google Analytics, and let's test and see that it's picking up traffic. So I am here, I'm in the GA4, and I'm going to click real time right here on the left, real time. And what I want to do is you're going to want to use a plugin like Ghostery or something that does not count your traffic to your own site. And so what I typically will do at this point is simply open another browser that I don't use often. That way I know it's not blocking my analytics. So I'm going to use Firefox. I'm going to type in the website, and I want to go back and look at and see. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for it to come up. And so again, we're in GA4, and what I'm basically doing is clicking on and seeing if it comes up. That tells us that Google Analytics is on the page. Okay, so you can see right down here, the first visit, there it is. Dunwoody. Okay, so it's now picking it up. It took it a minute to pick it up, but there it is where I've been on there. So let me go and click maybe on something else. Contact us page. There it is. Okay, so I was just on the home page, contact the events page, and then probably shortly it's going to come up where it's going to be, and see here it is, users 1. And you can see there, Marietta, that's where I am. Okay, so this is showing you, and the other good thing is, you know, you're not double counting because it has 1 instead of, there it is, contact us. I just clicked on that. So you can see there's a little bit of a delay. But the other thing, remember how I said that we wanted to have only Google Tag Manager and not also Google Analytics on SiteKit plugin turned on. That's because if we had them both turned on, it would be 2 here instead of 1, and you'd be double counting. So there you can see, these are the different ones that came in. So this is GA4. Let's go and look at Universal Analytics. Okay, so now we're in, you can see we're in the Universal and GA4, so we're in Universal, and you can see it does say 1 active user now. Let's go click again on Universal in real time overview. Again, you can see Marietta. So let's click on content. You can see the contact us page. Let's go and go to another page on the site. And again, it may take a while. Here it is, helpful links, the active page. So you can see again, and it's just showing 1 and not 2. So you definitely need to check that as soon as you get it installed. Make sure it's not double counting. But that basically tells you that you have it installed because you're testing your users, that they're actually, it's picking up the user on the site, and you can see it is picking up the correct pages. So it is all installed and you're ready to go. When you get done, one thing you're going to want to do is to make sure that you add the website owner, the business owner, as an admin on their account. And I did it for Google Search Console, but Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, I do want to go back in and make sure I've done that. So you're going to go and click Admin. And again, make sure you're on the account over here and click on Account Access Management. And then here's where you're going to add a user and give them full administrator access to that. The other thing is Google Tag Manager. You're going to go ahead and give them access to this as well. User management. So again, I clicked here, make sure you're in the specific account, admin, user management, and then again, you're going to add an administrator. Okay.
All right. Whew. That was a lot. Okay, I think we had some stuff in the chat I want to go through and go through. So yeah, so Andy was saying that SiteKit is an awesome tool and there could be a webinar on all of it. I went through this kind of fast, so I wanted to try to get everything in. I know there's some things that I probably missed and could have gone over. So Michael says, be careful that you only put tracking codes on your website once, not in SiteKit and your SEO plugin and in your code. Yes, yes. So definitely make sure that was one thing when I was showed you the SiteKit, when you're adding, to make sure it doesn't double do it, add it there, but then also any other plugins, make sure you're not adding it twice. And that's one of the things that I showed you when I kind of tested it at the end. Especially if you're doing this, I don't know if anyone else does this, but if you have a website go live and you do it in the evening, maybe when you know there's not as much traffic on the site, and you know you're probably going to be the only visitor, and so you can see that 1 and you know it's only 1 visitor and not 2. That's a good way to tell. So yeah, so definitely let me know your questions. Sue wants to know, where does the client go to look at analytics of the site once it's installed? So there are a couple places. And the first is, because we have Google SiteKit, if they simply go and log into their WordPress dashboard, they will be able to see some graphs there for some general kind of analytics. So they'll see that. And then I meant to actually, let me copy this information and put it here for you. These are all the links. So let me make sure I send this to everyone. And so I'm going to put all of these links here for you. I'm also going to put these in the meetup as well, in case you miss them, but if you want to copy them. So to actually see Google Analytics, they'd go to analytics.google.com. And because I sent them the invite then they're going to have access to that. And that's really important to make sure that that business owner has admin access to all their information. And then, so that's where they're going to access it. Now, one thing you might want to write down is, yes, I will explain that. And I realize I didn't go over that very much, Universal and GA4, Sue, thank you. But write down on your calendars, November 3rd. Is that correct, David? You don't know? I believe so. It is the first Wednesday in November. There is a meetup, and David Zimmerman is going to be doing that. He's with us today. And it's kind of a follow-up of this. So I talked about getting the Google Analytics on your website, making sure you're getting, you're recording the data. David's going to follow up and show you how to set up some reports and some other things to show you why it's really so important to have it on there. So, so this is the first step, make sure it's on there and on there correctly. And then David will follow up with the different reports and how to get those set up. That was quite a bit too much for just one meetup. This was a lot. So Sue had a great question, and I'm sorry I did not explain this ahead of time. Universal and GA4. So UA and then GA4. Universal Analytics has been out for a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but it's kind of the standard that Google has been using now. And as always, Google likes to update and change things. And sometime, I think earlier this year, Google came out with their next iteration of Google Analytics. It's Google Analytics 4. We shorten it to GA4. And the reason that you need to have right now both of those on your website and not just say, a lot of people have a new website and they only put GA4 on. Well, GA4 is not quite ready for prime time. You need to have it on there because, again, you need to collect that data and have that historical data. But it's not best right now for reporting. So when you're looking at reports, you're going to look at your Universal, which you're either putting on now or you've already had it on the site. But if you only have Google Universal Analytics, you need to go ahead and add GA4 now. Even though maybe you don't know how to use it, maybe you're not sure what you're going to do, the reports you're going to do with it, you need to add it now, because if you don't, you won't have that historical data, which is important because Google only gives you data from the point of install. So does that answer your question, Sue? It's a okay. You didn't look too happy about that. It's okay. It's Google. It's not me. Trust me. I will tell you. The reason I know a little bit more about analytics install than I probably normally would is that GA4 was a pain. I mean, David and I were here. We were back and forth. Like now that I'm doing it now, it's kind of evened out what it looks like. When they first had it set up, every website I went to looked different, and it was so confusing. So be happy that you're doing it now. From what I've seen, all the sites I've set it up on, everything seems to go smoothly with the setup on getting it done. So so that's definitely something to be glad you're doing it now. So Andy said GA4 voice the clients when they have it on the site to start collecting data ASAP. Yes, and slowly move them over to GA4 over time. Correct. Yes. So GA4, make sure you have it there for collecting the data. And then once things move over as far as reporting for GA4, you'll have it there and ready to go. Right now, I'm doing all my reporting in Universal Analytics because simply I know how to do it, and I'm gonna let them get all the kinks out of it, and then I'll figure out how to do it. So okay, any other questions? We've got a little bit more time. Any questions? Yes, I think I see Tom might have a question. No? Okay. All right. Okay, everybody's on mute here. So so
I have a question, Tricia.
Yes, Kelly.
What is the plugin that you use to make sure I'm not counting myself as my traffic?
Okay, so I didn't put that in there. So it's called Ghostery, GHOSTERY.
Thank you.
And that's actually it's a Chrome extension. And basically, and I've got to check on my settings for mine because I'm not sure that mine's working correctly, but that's something in, because you want to make sure if you're going to the site and your client site all the time, that you're not counting all the times that you're going there and checking on it. So big firms may use things like block specific IP addresses. But most of us, since we're either working small offices or working at home, our IP addresses can change, so that doesn't work. So what you would do is use something, an extension like Ghostery, which will block the analytics from tracking you. That's why I went in and used Firefox to actually get it to pick up, because I knew using Chrome, which I always use, that it probably wasn't going to pick me up. So that's why I was using Firefox, because I knew. Or you could turn the extension off and do it, but I just soon open a new browser and do that. So let's see, will you be sharing the video? Yeah, so this is being recorded, and April will put it in the group, and it will be on, I believe she puts it on YouTube. So any more exciting questions about Google Analytics? Anyone? Was it overwhelming?
It was wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I mean, you put a ton of effort into that. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I will tell you, so the video itself was longer, but obviously I was going through and just kind of doing it step by step and talking and going back and forth to make sure you understood everything. But if you're putting it on a client site, really like 15 minutes tops usually. And so, it really doesn't take that long. And that's another thing, back to what I was talking about at the beginning about when you're doing new websites or redoing websites, whatever, to make sure that you have that Google Analytics on their website so that you can then show them that their new website that they paid you to do is actually getting traffic and creating business. Because I've seen several lately that haven't had any on there. And the other thing is, it's one thing if it's a brand new website for a brand new client and you're starting from scratch with it. But if you're redoing a website, make sure you're getting the previous tracking Google Analytics account on there, so you don't just you're not starting from scratch again. You want to take that code and move it from one site to the other. That's a good reason to use the Google Tag Manager and Google Site Kit. You've already got everything set up in Tag Manager. All you do is install Google Site Kit on it and connect them. So that's another thing. It's really important to make sure you have. So Andy says Google Tag Manager is important. So adding G4 is a good start for many. Yes, I will tell you, I know all of this is when I first started getting involved in doing these things, it's like Google Search Console, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, this, and there's just so many. But I'll tell you, using Google Tag Manager is really, really helpful. Especially like say you put all these different things. You've got analytics, Facebook pixel. Let's say they were doing a Pinterest pixel, all these things, instead of putting it on the site, not remembering where they are, what they are, where you put them, you have them all in Google Tag Manager, and they're all in one little neat place. And that's really what makes it so good, to have everything right there and easy in one place, and not having to go back to the website and look at the code and figure out where you put it, when you put it, if it's right, if it's wrong, it's all right there. So that's why Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager is so, so important. So, okay, any more questions? Since I've talked. No more questions? All right, so I have all the links I posted here. I also have a few of the little slides that I did, because I just kind of did a very short little overview. So I have those listed here in the chat, but I'm also going to put them in the meetup as well in case you didn't get them here in the chat. So last call for questions. Nope. Okay, make sure that you put on your calendar and check out in the Facebook group, the Remote Control Living, the November the 3rd. David's going to be doing basically our step 2. When we were talking about this, I was excited that he was going to do that part because I felt like I was kind of stopping and I didn't get you all in all the rest of the information, and he's going to be doing the reporting. And I think Tom had a question. Did you have a question, Tom? You said
Just,
yes.
I always love those little reaction icons.
Oh, okay, good.
I wanted to thank you.
Raise your hand for a question. Okay.
I wanted to thank you symbolically for all your
Yeah.
work today.
Oh, good. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. So definitely, yes, Sue gave a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Well, let me know if you have any questions. You can post in Facebook or on the meetup. And again, November 3rd, and make sure that you all are in our Facebook group. So that they're keeping up with everything that we've got going on there too. And April will be back for the next meetup. She wasn't able to make it today. But thank you all very, very much. And I will see you all soon at the next meetup. Have a good week. Rest of your week.
Bye, Tricia. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you all.